Let's start our session. So again, good morning all. I can see a lot of familiar faces as we have discussed in our last class. I can see Karandeep, I can see Pragisha, I can see Prithvesh, I can see Vipul, Tania, Rahul, Pushpesh, Pushparaj, Aditya, Anand, and definitely our coordinator for the course, Damini. So good morning all, and please let me know if I'm clearly audible to you with a quick yes.
Good morning, sir. Yes, sir, it's clearly audible.
Great. So in our last class, we have actually got a bit stuck because I wanted to show you the step-by-step installation of Anaconda. So I have uninstalled Anaconda from my system, but then I come to know that you have already proceeded through that step. So I thought that it will take time to install again Anaconda. So now it's ready and installed in my system. So I'll start showing you about the spider. So yeah, in our last class we are actually discussing about the notebook and IDE. In notebook, definitely there is Jupyter notebook, and I have also shown you Google Colab. Quick confirmation: any one of you have got opportunity to explore Google Colab? So Gulzar, we have just started. It's not even half a minute. We are starting with Spider. We are actually continuing from our last class. So anyone of you have already gone and explored Google Cloud Notebook, or at least um, ran the examples which I have shared with you in Google Cloud? Okay, so I can see at least people and Karandeep. Thanks a lot. So now we'll understand about the more common IDs like Spider. However, when you talk about IDs, there are various different type of IDs are available for Python programming, and IDs are many a time a choice of individual as well as it's a choice of the organization or the industry. For example, more common IDs what we have seen, definitely Spider is one of the popular. Apart from it, there are also PyCharm, there is Canopy, which is also a legacy and strong one. The people who are coming from Java programming background, they are very familiar with Eclipse IDE, and Eclipse has also an IDE for Python, and a lot of users they also prefer to use that. But currently, if you see the most common trends, slowly and gradually, people are using VS Code, and there is also an editor by name Atom that is becoming a lot popular among programmers. But now, rather than going into multiple IDs and going into various different IDs and their components, that will take a lot of time for us. But before going over there, what we can start understanding about the concepts of the programming. Once you are having good hands-on on programming, then we can go into in between we can go into examples of different IDs The way, apart from Jupyter, I have shown you this Google Colab. Similarly, I will keep on showing you some of the other examples. Meanwhile, if you are having any self-interest to look into various different type of IDs, you can also do that. But let us currently stick with Spider. Hope it sounds like a plan to all of us. Then if it is yes, I can have a quick yes from everybody that we will currently proceed with Spider. Great, thanks. Makes sense. Okay, so when we are talking about Spider has got few components. There is a component where you write your scripts. There is a component where you see various objects and variables, and there is console. So if I open a blank page of Spider, you can see this is the Spider ID, and we write our code here in this component. This is the console. When we write a program and execute it, we can see the output over here and various environment variables. We can actually get it over here. And if we see the various components or the menu of Spider, you can see it comes within file, creation of new file, which will help you to start writing your code. If you want to open from existing, you can also open using this Control O. Similarly, if you want to save, you can save with Control S, and you can also save a copy over there. So these are the things what we are going to explore during our work. Similarly, these are various editing functions, uppercase, lowercase. If you want to search the name of any of the variables, the search is a very useful function. Similarly, if you want to replace any variable name, then also this will be very important. So apart from it, I will show you the uses of blank space for compilations, what is a trailing space removal in the process. For running, we can run using the file. We can run individual cell, or we can actually run some current selection using F9. Debugging, we will see the process, and if you want to remove all the variables, these are stored variables. This is the particular button for that. Similarly, the same button, you will get it over here also. You can see if you click over here, all user defined variables will be removed. Similarly, if you want to restart your console, either you can restart the kernel from here, or probably you can also go and close it from here. It will restart and start with a fresh kernel. Similarly, for creating the project and the project compilation, we'll see more with when we learn about OOPs. And there are also various tools. Even there are also currently various add-ins. One of the popular add-in is Guide, which can guide you to write your codes. Apart from it, when we start writing the code, we can always see uh, ID also prompts you about selecting various stored variables. Still now we all are good. Any question on that part? So you have also opened and explored all these components in your IDE. Kernel basically connects with your, because IDE is more of a front end, but to run it, it requires a Python program to run in the backend. Python you can run from command line, but when the same command line you are connecting with IDE, and it always creates an IPython or interactive Python script. So that is the kernel. Hope I have answered you, Randy. Because Python you can also call, once it is installed, you can call Python from in various ways. You can directly run it from your command line, the CMD. You can run through an IDE or through Jupyter Notebook. But the background program is a kernel where it is calling your Python. Now you can see in kernel, here it is mentioned that in your system you have a 3.7.x version of Python, and once we start executing, it will call the IPython scripts of the Python to be connected. Hope it makes sense. Okay, now coming back. So this is a component where we can type the command and run, and currently to save our class time I have already written, so you can see, you can so it ran and it is given output of hello world. So similarly, when you start writing, it will also prompt us about the various stored variables. So you can see we are trying to print. It is providing us various options about the what we want to print. Is it an object, and what should be the rule that we want to use some of the separator and those components. It is prompting us. So basically, a console is basically where you may interact with the visualized data inside a command line interpreter. All the commands interacted with the console are executed in a separate process, thus allowing the user to interpret any process at any point of time. So you can also check your history, going into histories of Python and IPython interpreter or command line. Apart from it, a small quick thing, you can actually set your libraries where you are actually going to set your code of this project. You can see here in this particular part. You can, for any projects, you can go and change this library also here. Where you want to save all of your codes. So let us quickly go about the example of setting your working library or working directory. If you want to set, go and set from here. But in my case, I have already preset it. So if you want, you can also go set. And for every project, when it is a good practice, so you should actually create a proper directory or destination where you should save the file to retrieve it. It's in any language that makes sense when you're executing. So you have already gone through the process of installing various packets, I think. Okay. Oh, sorry, I have missed some of your. Varsha, I have not. I'm not into any of the topic. I'm just revisiting the ID discussion of our spider, and we are exploring various components. We will definitely um, we'll definitely learn much more about it. So you have also used, okay, you have understood about the pip method of installing. So I am not going to right now waste some of the times. I am we will see in future how to install some course through Jupyter or Colab that I'll show it to you separately, because I think I will proceed forward with my understanding that some of the basic libraries like NumPy and all you have already installed it. Can you just quickly confirm that? Then I do not want. Okay, okay. People has confirmed it. So I'm just skipping this part. But this part I actually want to talk about it quickly, because although we are going to see much more examples from this, but it will always help us to go back to this. When we are doing any of the numerical operations in Python, the most important library for us is basically the NumPy, and the NumPy is one of the most essential Python libraries which we should learn. And to understand NumPy, I will share with you all of these libraries. They have also their pages and their official tutorials. It may not be possible for us to go through all the examples, but what I will keep on doing in the process, I will be sharing their official tutorial and those links with you, so that when you are practicing, you can execute those examples to learn also what we have learned in the class. It will basically combine both the knowledge, and it will help you for your solidification of your understanding. Hope that makes sense. Great, thank you. And now coming into it. So NumPy is basically a short form of numerical Python. It's one of the scientific computing fundamental library, and apart from it, definitely there is also SciPy. When we are doing any of the numerical operations, we will always see that we are calling NumPy module, and lot of libraries are basically built on the top of NumPy. It's one of the fast and efficient multi-dimensional array object or ND array. I'm not going to go in much details into this because you will understand what we are trying to tell when we are actually seeing the examples of it, or when we are learning in depth about the program. And basically for reading a data array, it's one of the important library to look into. And I just want you to right now recall that NumPy is one library we are going to learn in depth. The second library which we are going to learn in depth is basically, now we have got the numbers, an array of numbers. Now next is basically the creating a data frame. And as you know, most of our work is going to go around various data structures, and to handle those data structures and data frame, we need a library. And for that, the most critical library is going to be pandas. Although there are now a lot of emerging libraries like Dusk and all, but pandas data frame is basically still the first one and to learn about. Definitely, as I was mentioning to you, the pandas is basically to handle various type of data frames. It could be two-dimensional, column-oriented structure, row and column blocks, and I will also show you an example of various data frames in particular designated class. It can also interact with various data manipulation capabilities of spreadsheet, like sequence your query type of structure, and it also provides the sophisticated indexing functionality to reshape, slice and dice, perform aggregations on that particular data frame. And those are going to be various key learning when we are going through pandas. Now, what we have learned? We have learned about first about the data array. From there, we have learned about the data. Next, in analytics, the most important part is come into the visualization. When it comes to the visualization, definitely the go-to library is going to be the matplotlib. It's the most basic and most popular Python library for visualization of basically. Now you will also see there are lot of other visualization libraries we are also going to learn in the process, like Seaborn or Bokeh. However, Matplotlib is basically the key visualization and basic visualization library that we have to always learn. Going into the next one. Next one is basically for scientific computing, because where our most of the problem are going to fall into, or statistical problem is going to fall into. For that, there is a library that is known as SciPy. We are going to learn SciPy also. Next, uh, when you talk about Python-based machine learning, there are other libraries like stat models. There are also now newer emerging libraries like PyCaret. However, scikit-learn is the library that you need to definitely learn to understand about machine learning. And scikit-learn, believe me, it's one of the most enriched library with huge documentation of each machine learning methods with examples, and this is going to be very helpful while doing any machine learning projects. Most of our machine learning projects we are going to use scikit-learn libraries, because All those methods are available within scikit-learn with robust documentation. So now a quick recap from all of you. So some of the libraries what we have talked about. So if it is for array function, what is the library we are going to, a quick quiz time. Array function, what is the library we have talked about? Thank you. Varsha has given, Rahul has given the answer, Tanya has given the answer. Perfect. Pragish has given the answer. Pushpa has given the answer. If it is data frame operation, Aditya has also given the answer to previous question. If it is a data frame operation, what is the library we are going to use? Pandas. Pandas. Perfect. For visualization, what is the library we are going to use? Matplotlib. If it is a machine learning project, what are the libraries we are going to use? This is a tricky question. Rahul, you are correct. Okay. And definitely we are going to use, but in a machine, I have not. That's why I have told this is a tricky question, because in machine learning scenario, we are actually going to call all of them, because in a machine learning scenario there will be array operation. Okay, so for that we will call NumPy. There will be data frame we need to load. That's why we'll call pandas. However, the core machine learning model related all the operations we are going to go through basically scikit-learn, which is in a short form it's sklearn. So now on that note, hope that answers the properly. Means if you are in future, if I'm asking you in learning what are the libraries we're going to use, you will be able to see, you will be able to, it's not one answer, it is going to be a series of answer, because it is something like first we are calling numpy, for array operations we are calling pandas, for loading data frame, once the data frame is loaded, then we are actually trying to explore the data more visually. For that we are going to call matplotlib. Then we are doing various data splitting and model development on that. For that, we are actually calling scikit-learn. So that is the reason these are the 3-4 libraries we are going to call all together. And in some cases, we also need to call scipy. So in future, if I'm asking you, what are the libraries we need for machine learning? These all are going to be the answer, not scikit-learn alone. Hope it makes sense. Thank you. Thank you. So this part I'm skipping right now. Installing various packages. So even the Anaconda package is loading. This is not the Jupyter notebook. I think anybody has got, because right now we are not going to look into a notebook way looking into it. So anybody has got any question on Jupyter notebook, or probably I can skip it now. When once we are going to work into Google Colab, or probably in Jupyter notebook, I can answer the questions during that time. Hope that makes sense for all of you, because then I can directly, yeah, thank you, thank you. But however, I just wanted to provide to you for your, oh, oh, just for, Still, if you want to go through some of the details about the notebook as we are skipping it, you can go over these resources and you can look into it. So now a quick fun fact in between, the from what is the basically origin of the name Python. Although means whenever we think of Python, it comes to that particular snake type Python in our mind. However, the nomenclature of the Python came basically from this Monty Python's Flying Circus, and that is nothing to do with the reptile or the snake Python, because the person who has given the name, he has given the name Python from this basically Monty Python over here. So that is an interesting fun fact to know. However, not to waste time over there. And first, this is basically we also need to understand. Before we understand about what is Python, we also need to have a good understanding about what Python is not. First, that means it is not an integrated graphical environment like MATLAB. Some of you, I think, who has worked into MATLAB under your, some of you are engineers. I think in our previous discussion we know. So any one of you have got exposure to MATLAB where you have done some prototyping? Okay, I can see there. Yes. So that is also a very robust tool, and believe me, a lot of previous machine learning and deep learning, yes, in college days, I can see from currently, a lot of interesting prototyping could be programmed on MATLAB. Even my first project on deep learning, that was on a diagnostic system on images, I have also used for my initial data exploration MATLAB itself. Okay, now coming into the next part, it is basically specifically designed for scientists, mathematicians, but the third-party libraries for plotting numerical works are some of the best around. So uh, I think some of the things it is now overcoming with passing years, and as the as basically a lot of interest and traction is going around industry with that, with lot of experimentations are coming, people are writing lot of effective packages, these all weaknesses are going to get reduced over a period of time. However, the last one is still valid and important, that is in terms of performance, because what we have also seen many a times, some of the legacy programs like C, C++ also runs much more faster than Python, but there are also wrappers could be created around those programs of Python wrappers, and in that case, it will be much more connected to Python environment. Like for C, there are Python wrappers. We'll understand much more when you go forward and see some of the examples of it. And you can definitely run Python and practice and practice and practice and learn it by your own. However, there are a lot of interesting libraries are available. Probably this is a one I will try to create a list for you in a notepad, and I will try to share with you rather than sharing these individual experiences, because you will tend to lose this, rather than that if I'm saving in a notepad and sharing with you. Hope that will make much more sense to you. So similarly, these are some most commonly used terminologies like Python, which is going to be our key language, which we are going to learn now. Package is we are going to call various packages or modules or libraries which we are going to load, and from there we are going to call various functions for our purpose. We have talked about some of the key packages: NumPy, SciPy, Matplotlib, scikit-learn, and then definitely there are Python distribution, from where we are going to download Python and various packages. Either we are going to download independent package, simple one by one packages, or probably through an appended distribution. There are, I think, there means this was relevant when we have used some of the previously written Python programs, because there were a difference between Python 2.x and Python 3.x and their ways of writing. But currently, when we have started, more and more examples are around 3.x only. Even within 3. There are within 3.x also there are some small functions are getting added and updated. We will see some of those type of functions like if functions, which is introduced with 3.7, and I think that will definitely be helpful for us, and we are going to use for our class, as we are all agreed, integrated development environment, that is IDEs, which is for writing programs for text editing and debugging purposes. Python IDEs are often written itself in Python, or probably sometimes they are um, written. Even if you want to write Python codes, you can also write on Python IDEs. There are also notebook, which is JSON document, and Jupyter Notebook is one of the example of it, where we can actually execute code step by step. We can annotate them. We can add a lot of interesting contents for our future, like we can add images, videos, and we can make them as our scribble pad um, learning tool. So those things we will see when we are exploring the Google Colab. On that note, let's start our today's agenda, that is introduction to Python programming. But before I proceed, hope we all are good with the speed. Everybody is fine. Any feedback till now? Mid-class feedback. If you want me to go fast, slow, I can adjust my space accordingly. Okay, I can. Probably I will try to slightly increase the pace. I can understand. And the reason behind that, probably currently what we are discussing, you have already gone through it and you are well versed with that. So today what we are going to learn, these are going to be our, so we are going to understand about the Python program. We are going to understand about how the programming constructs, and we are also going to understand about values, variables, strings. We are going to understand about various primitive data structure and advanced data structure. We are going to understand about accessing various elements, cloning slices, and we are also going to understand about iterations. So first, before we jump into program and programming, we need to understand. So what is your understanding quickly about programming? So what is a programming? Anybody can talk from the class. Okay. So what is programming? So we are actually giving instructions and we are storing instruction. Karandeep has rightly said. And programming is a way to call programs. So program is basically a stored set of instructions, and programming is a method or act of writing down this set of instructions. And programmer, either it could be a person or it could be also a machine, because I think you have also learned about now using machine learnings and auto MLs to write a lot of programs, or it could be an AI who can write a, yes, Rahul is also correct, a set of instructions to carry out particular task. Absolutely. So programming language, it could be how we can write the program, and it has got, any language per se has got some certain set of rules. So it could be vocabulary related rules or grammar related rules. Similarly, here also there are some programming rules, because machine understands some certain set of instruction. If it is passed to you, it's given to you, means given by you to the machine in some certain ways. And this is a quick visual to understand. So this is input and output device, where you are providing, parsing it to the central processing unit, the CPU, and it is going to the main memory and is reaching out to the network. And then from main memory, it's going to secondary memory. So this is the way the programming works. Now, so I think we all have ran. Now I want you to open your ID also parallelly, and we have all have seen this example of hello world. So the values we have seen so far in the hello world, the numbers such as 1 or 2. These values belong to various different types, like 2 is an integer and hello world is basically a string, because it contains a string of letters. So in a while I am going to talk about the various type of data types in Python. There you will understand the examples of string, integers, and complex numbers, and so on and so forth. So what could be a native data types to Python? It could be either logical or the booleans. It could be either true or false. Numbers can come into 2 or 3 formats. More importantly, it can come in the form of integer, or as a whole number, floats, or where there are basically fractions, like it could be 1.5, it could be 1.1, 1.2, and so on and so forth. Or it could be fractions or complex numbers. And basically strings are the sequences of Unicode characters, or so strings are basically what we call as a character. And when we talk about characters, something like an example of character is basically a text. List are ordered sequence of values, and a list can contain various different type of values. I will show you in a while. Tuples are ordered immutable sequence of values. I will show you the example of tuples also. The sets are unordered bag of values. Dictionaries are unordered bag of key pair values. So here the important thing is key value pairs. Okay, and then there is also bit and byte arrays, like something like when we are dealing with image files, definitely the bit arrays and byte arrays also make sense. Uh, and there are also example of other data type like frozen list and all, which is not mentioned here. I will talk about it when I proceed about it. So ultimately, what are the building blocks of Python? Everything is an object in Python. There are various types like module, function, class, method, file, and even compiled code, which goes into Python. And a module should have definitely some names, and each object will have some methods. We will definitely learn in future about the various functions, classes, and handling various files as we progress. So now more about data types. Strings are enclosed in quotes. Like for example, our common example of string is this. You can here you can see all of these are basically example of strings. So these all are basically example of strings, because here so you have seen one thing, the strings when I have also shared the examples in the chat window with you, are basically enclosed in quotes. They hold character, that is text, and these are immutable. The example of string is this is a string, or basically hello world or hello again. What I have shared with you is an example of string. And as we proceed, I want you to also to understand, if you want to add a comment in Python, for that what we use is basically the hash. Like you can see here, when we want to use a comment, we always use this particular sign. And when we use hash in our program, this code of chunk is always ignored by Python programming for running. For example, if I'm selecting and running till this, you can see in the console output, when it has given the output, it has ignored all of these components. So going forward, when we want to write a description, we will use this as a technique. And at the same time, if you also want to disable a part of your code, you should use also this hash technique. Hope this is making sense to all of us. A quick yes. Perfect. Then we will see the example of tuples. Tuple values are separated by commas and usually enclosed by parentheses, and can hold any of the data type, and definitely it is also immutable. So I have some of the tuples examples below. So Then definitely there are example of list and dictionaries. I will show you the example of all of this data type in a while. But before that, let us start understanding about the strings and various string operations. And you have already heard a particular word that is immutable. That means this is a word you will encounter in the cases of strings and when we are talking about the tuples. So there are also this immutable type. So what is immutable? Immutable is basically a concept when you create either string or you create a tuple value, you cannot change them. And I will show you the example of that also during our program writing activity. So on that note, so when we are trying to talk about string, you can actually break a string and you can access all of these elements. And it always starts from 0. The indexing starts from 0. Suppose if you create a myString structure, this is a test. That means if you write myString and 0, then in that case, basically, it will take out T. If you write myString 1, then it will take out H. It goes into to write into 2, then it will go into over here and 3 and so on and so forth. And then probably you might ask me, then to do this indexing, I need to identify basically what is the total length function or the length sequence of it to find it out. So for that, there is a length function, and I will show you the example of that also. So hope it, till this part it's clear to you. Fine. And we'll get actually much more clarity when we are rather than seeing it, when we are actually going to do it hands-on soon, we'll understand about it in a much more clearer way. So probably let me go and parallelly show you some of the exhibit some of the examples of it also for you. So so till that part, we have actually talked about some of the data type. So let us quickly create some of the example data type also. For example of string would be this one. Here we have written as my string, and we have actually talked about is it better? Is it better? Is it better? Okay. So where were we? We were here into the example of creating some of this variable example. So if you create these variables, the string, so this is a string, and with what we have seen, we can actually find out what is the total length of the string. So here, basically length, we are getting 15. So on the basis of that, we can do various length operations on that. Similarly, if it is an example of integer, then on integer we can do some of the numerical operations also. Like you can see on our integer we have add plus 1. Similarly on my float, which is a float number, we have also added, and similarly we have created printed the complex or number also. So now the example which we are talking, accessing a string, the operation, where now if we just print this as a whole, now someone will try to give an answer. If I just do this, what will happen? Like text and perfect, because it will get age for us. Absolutely. Similarly, if we go execute text 3, what will happen? I'm actually getting only answer perfect. It will basically it will get the space. Those who has given the answer as space, that is their correct answer. Because 1, 2 is sorry, it is 0, 1, 2, 3. And then if you run this text and 10, it will actually access the E, and this is going to be this. Similarly, if you basically want, you can actually update a string also. So let me just quickly share these examples with you in the chat window. So Prithvi has got one question. Please post your question, Prithvi.
So when you wrote text 3, it counted space as a variable or something. But when you put text 10, it didn't count the space.
So it is 1. It is always indexed from this means this one space is basically 0, 0, then it is 1, then it is 2, then it is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Correct. It has counted now. So that's why the one space is 0. One in that is a even that is always in our mind also. The one space is basically the 0. It is indexed from 0. Okay. So hope I have given you the answer. So any more questions till now in this part before we move on? Hello, am I audible? Hello. Okay. So great. So any more questions? I think this is simple and basic things, as we are going to learn much more about it. And these are the some few more things I also wanted to show it to you, because I think that should have been covered in the previous section. But if you have covered it or not, I do not know. So let us try to understand about it. So when we start writing any of the Python codes, initially we call all the useful packages at the beginning of it. And sometimes it could be a part of a program initiation code. And for example, you can see here, I have imported some of the packages which we have discussed. Import numpy as np, import pandas as pd, import seaborn as an sns. But here, interestingly, you can see there is a yellow sign that is coming up in our id. Anybody can tell why it is coming up like that? Any idea why it is showing an orange icon over here? Because this id has got an interesting feature. If you have called some of the packages, and later part when you have executed those packages, but you have not used this package, like you can see in my entire code till the end, it has not been used pandas anywhere. So it is showing me that you have basically imported pandas, but it is unused. So means it is asking me why I have imported, a reason for it. And there are also some standards of it. So in that case, this will get, either we are not going to use it, or we are going to remove it, or probably I have written initially for a logic I wanted to show, but I have not shown. So when you are loading all the packages and you are seeing this warning, it will give you an indication what are the packages you have used or not. Similarly, it's an interesting feature of the ID. Like if you have your ID open, and if you just keep test this, and what I will do, just copy paste these two. I think you, in your case, in your ID, you will see import pandas as pd and import seaborns as sns in both the cases. Ex okay. So actually we use abbreviation for this. the other short form or the aliases for these packages. And when we use the aliases, we always try to use the standard aliases, as you have rightly said, Varsha, that NumPy we call as NP, Pandas as PD, scikit-learn as sklearn, and Seaborn as SNS. Okay, so I think if you have executed the example I have given in an open notebook, you can see you are getting this one. Like I in my future program, I have not written anything, but as soon as I just go and add this one, because I have not defined here the package resources. So in this case, you can see it has given me an error because I have not imported the package resources. But now, and you can also see your ID is also showing there is an error in the code. But now, as soon as we have imported package resources, now you can see. So this is the way IDE actually indicates you to okay, please explain the line number 18 again. Yes, I'm going to it. They are going to show you the what we are trying to do in line number 18. I was actually trying to show you about the warnings and errors. So right, if we have not called for this package, then you can see it will actually show an error in a in but once we have actually imported that particular package, there is no errors. And why there is an very important of package resources, I'm going to talk about it, because package resources is a submodule which actually talks about the various installed packages and their information, because when we are writing some of the programs, we need to understand about the packages and what are the version of the packages we are using. So for that, this package resources is a program that is used. So hope that explained to you, Tania, what we are trying to do. For example, I'm just going to show you a method for that. So writing the version info of NumPy we are using within our program, we can actually call this. So which shows us that we are using NumPy 1.18.1 version in our program. Similarly, the same version we can also access using NumPy version code. And here also, as we have already so this will also work here. Moment. So you can see that. So now it will also define you the importance of aliases, because I am getting here the output of NumPy version from either from NumPy or from NP. And that actually talks about the discussion we are having a while back about the aliases. So here the NumPy and the NP provides the same. But in this context, here now you can see our code is actually showing a red, because this will suffice if we write like this. So hope that gives you idea about all the components. That means what are the packages, what are the concepts of the package resources, what it is going to provide us to it to us, like it is going to provide as a version info. Then when we are going to call the packages into a short form or alias, how it works. And when we are calling the aliases, we have to be also careful that how we have called it. Now you can see both will work. And how we have also understood about how to understand how to look into package resources to get the various package info. Similarly, you can also want to get the package info for SciPy, and alternatively you can also get for SMS, because we have already called Seaborn as SMS. So that is a one thing I wanted to show it to you, because in future probably for some of the programs we have to understand about the version, which version we are using. Otherwise we'll not be able to do the error solution. So I just wanted to share this piece of code with you. Till this part we all are clear? Any questions on that part about package resources, about usage of aliases, any other um, any clarity you require, or you all are good? We have already looked into the string functions. We have already talked about the commenting function. This I just wanted to show. Sometime probably if you want to print the characters in a special way, we can use this technique also. Now you can see it has actually dropped the T here. It has came as food bar, it has come as foo and bar. So this is one example I also wanted to show with you. So let us come back to various string operations, like how we can actually update the strings. The example first, um, I have not got your question. Okay, so your this is regarding the food bar. So if we want to give a special meaning to a character, like we want to drop this character, we want to separate this character, sometimes for that purpose, we can write it like this. Like for example, So in this case, when we try to separate them or drop off some of the items, we can actually use this particular string operations like this food bar, what I have shown it to you. Like when it will give you the output, it will show you that T is basically getting dropped and it is showing a wide space in between there. But I'm not able to reproduce this example right now. So this I will probably quickly check and I'll get back to with some more examples on that. So hope that is fine. Hope that is fine with class. So coming back to updating a string, like for example, this is a string we have created. And now we want to update this hello world into hello Python. So as we have talked about, so here from where we want to replace it, from which place we want to replace. If we go for a quick count, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. From 6 onwards, we want to replace it, correct? Agreed? So in that case, what we can do, from 6 place onwards, we can actually write and we can add it with Python. So in that case, the code output will provide you the hello Python. And then we can actually get an updated length of the variable. And before also, you can actually do a lane check. So earlier it was basically length of 12. Now once you have updated, you can do. Because in this context, it will actually see what you're trying to do. You're trying to equate team with type. So Python will find it out and Python will say it is not a valid string operation. Similarly, we can also see how some of the iteration functions and how it actually works. Similarly, we can also look in some transversal string function, how it works. So now you can see it's the same my string I am using where we have saved before. This is a test and now using transverse function, you can see this is actually coming like in this way. Let me also share this all this codes with you. Similarly, now we can actually do a for loop for transversal also to get the similar output. And there also, if we are trying to get some of the components out, that way also we can do using this code. And then if we try to come into this string operation, probably let me show you some more string operations here. For example, I am actually trying to create another new string, and now we are actually going to take the salutation of the string out, where I have mentioned to this the salutation means only this part, that 0 to 3, that means 0, 1, 2, and 3, and from there the name is starting. So if I go and print the salutation, then if I want to just I think I have missed. Okay, so okay, so I have got two questions also in between. Can you repeat the iteration string using loop? Can you please explain the string transversal? Okay, so this, so you are talking about this loop function and you are talking about this transversal. Okay, so before, if you see, I have actually saved one of the strings, my string. This is a test because I have recently run another my string. Okay, now if we, when we are printing this, it is actually printed in this way. This is a test. Now if we try to print it in a vertical manner, or if we try to create a transversal, in that case again the index will start basically from 0. So here it is going to be from 0, and then this 0 should come into in such a way that it should come in a vertical way. So that is the reason we are actually doing either using the loop or with using the indexing. From here we are printing in such a way that it get indexed one by one into an array. So that is the reason once we run this, so here you can see we are going to index it, and then we are going to take the length of this string, then we are going to print it in such a way that it actually goes in a manner. So now you can see once we start printing it in a transverse way, so it is printing in an index manner from top to bottom in a vertical way. In similar way, if we try to print it, we can also print it using the loop function. I will talk about much more about the loop functions when we are going forward about various functions. But now from this, if we are trying to get 5 to 3, it will basically again the similar way, it will take out the values D and E for us. So hope you both of you have got it, Tania and Prithvish. Prithvish, any questions? Anybody in the class? Any more questions on this part? Okay, so I was here. I was here trying to show about various string operations. So now let us try to create another string about a name of a physician, and from that string, now uh, we all know about salutations, correct? So what is salutation? Anybody in the class? Example of salutations? Something like Mr. No, salutation is not exactly a title. Salutation is basically it's something like yes, Mr., Miss, Doctor, or in Indian way it is Sriman, Srimati, and so on and so forth. So now probably if you are trying to take out the salutation of this, so I have to make my program to understand in this particular person is a doctor. So here what it will be, from indexing from 0 to 3, it is going to be basically the salutation. So let us write the salutation, and then if you are printing the salutation, then I want to take out the first name. Yes, you all are correct. These are Rahul. And if you are trying to take out the last name, you can do that type of string operation, that is slicing and dicing of the strings. So we all are good on various string operation and functions. We'll actually play some quick game to understand about more. That game was actually a part of it which I have shared with you, but still I think we can. And this will actually give us some an interesting understanding about a lot of things. For example, to understand about our implementation of strings and numerical operations in. Okay, I think this you are actually getting because of the indent block function of it. So do one thing, just follow it. Here you have got this correct. So let us write. You can see here, as soon as I have moved my cursor, it is not exactly going in the beginning. It's coming here below I. Okay. So now Basically, that is an indentation of Python. Now you can see, and if you run this P, it will work. Oh, sorry, I think I have written here. So have you, Prithvish, have you solved this? You understood about the indentation? So it's the same way when you're writing this transversal to make uh, horizontal to vertical any text or characters. This here also you have to actually use the same technique. Here also the indentation will play a role. So many a times if you're just copying and pasting, the indentation will go. So anybody want try to run this code and encounter this indentation error? Anybody encounter this indentation error? So everybody is fine with this. So let us quickly go and play this game as you have not looked into it. So let us run it one by one. So first, if we run this first line, where was? Oh, I think I have selected a lot of. And quickly, probably I think also I should show to you. Yes, um, interesting one. So for let us play this game. So this is a list we are going to create here, and we have already created this list as colors. But now you can see here it is showing a red in color. Anybody in the class will be able to tell why it is showing red. Undefined variable, but why undefined variable? Absolutely, it's a because Pragisha is a capital P, because we always have to remember in during the course of our programming, Python is a language that is case sensitive. Yes, absolutely. So if you want to print anything, you have to always make it. So this is an example I wanted to show it to you. So I have kept it. Now I am making it silent. So now let us go and complete the above game. So similar way, you can actually combine a lot of text, and you can actually text and numericals in Python. It accepts only lowercase. Yes, yes. So otherwise it will actually end up in error. So let us start seeing. So if we just print the first line, so what is the first line? I will now count my chickens. So what this first line, what type of data is this one? Data character, string, absolutely. And in the second, what we have, what are the type of data we have? We have string as well as we have what type of data? Quickly, string and integer. Perfect. Next, we have basically again string and integer. And now it actually comes into a logical way. So first, now I will count my chickens. Next, and it also definitely follow the mathematical rule of BODMAS for output. Then these are the roosters. Now I will count my eggs. Now I will count. We are actually checking a logic that is it. So what is this one? This particular line 135. Is it true that? So what will be the output of this? Yes, that means a boolean. Yes, you're correct. Similar way, we can actually run the whole chunk and we can see it will give us a story. So now you can see it is going to provide us all of these outputs together. I will count my chicken, what are the number of hens, what are the number of roosters, and then I will count the eggs, and then it is actually providing the numbers. It is checking for me a boolean, and then it is actually providing me some answer of 3 plus 2. It's actually doing some numerical operations Python for us, and then it is also checking all of these parts together. So similarly, the programming logic goes on something. So let us try to understand much more about variables. So or assigning the value to a variables. So let us try to assign some value into an interesting program, and then we are actually going to use the same string printing activity over here. For example, by now we understand we can actually assign variable like this. So let us go and assign all of these variables together. So I'm just copying and pasting to you, although this is available to you. So let's run these variables. So now you can see these all the variables are stored for us. So what are the variables we have stored? For car, we have stored as 100. Space in a car, that means it could be 4. In a COVID scenario, it should be 2 also. And then in a basically in that carpool company, the number of drivers available are 30, and in passengers there are 90. Cars that are not driven is basically cars minus drivers, because to drive any of the cars you need at least one drivers. Cars that is driven is equivalent to the number of drivers, because 30 people can take out 30 drivers. So carpool capacity is basically cars driven into the space in a car, which is basically the number of space in a car is going to be multiplied by 4. And then average passenger per car is basically passenger divided by cars driven. Now we can see we have already stored all of these variables, and then slowly and gradually from there we can start getting all of this answer. So if we run the first one, what will be the answer of it? If we run the first lines, what is going to be the answer of it? Anybody in the class? There are cars is that variable, and cars available. There are 100 cars available. Correct. Similarly, if you run the second one, there are only drivers it will call the drivers variable and then drivers available. Correct that? 30. Then print there will be cars not driven, that is empty cars today. What will be the answer to that? What will be the answer to that? Cars not driven are basically you have already stored a variable with an equation 70. Okay, now carpool capacity, we have already created a carpool capacity. So carpool capacity, then what is going to be the answer to the carpool capacity? If we run this, it will call this variable carpool capacity 120. Okay, then we have passengers to carpool today, it will call this variable passengers. So the answer is going to be 90, straightforward. And then average passenger per car, average passenger is per car is basically passengers divided by cars driven. So what is going to be the answer? 3. So similar way you can actually write your logic and you can use the variables. Hope that makes sense. Correct? We all are in the same page. This was an interesting game, quick game. Similarly, with this game, another game we'll play to understand much more about variable, about commenting, and about writing some more functions. So let me share also all these variables with you. So here we have actually assigned some variables. Let me also assign my system. So there is a variable that is height 166 centimeter, weight 85 definitely in kg, BMI, and when you are writing you actually change this number according to your numbers. I have written as per my numbers. Okay, BMI is basically an body mass index calculation. My name, my age, gender, and then basically height, weight, BMI, eyes, teeth, and hair, and blah blah. Then now if we go and print my BMI, what is going to be the answer of it? It will call which variable? It will call which variable? BMI, correct. Similarly, if we now try to identify what is the type of data we have stored under this variable, or what is the data type, then we use type function. So what is the data type of BMI? Absolutely correct. Good answer. Awesome. That is float. Similarly, if we run this height and weight, what is going to give me the answer? Height and weight, Pragisha? I think Pragisha, okay, integer. Absolutely integer. And now, similar way, we can actually use the f strings. F strings is available a thing which is written as a curly bracket, and you can start this with this f, and then you can actually write your statement, and within the curly bracket you can write the variable. So now if I call this, it will actually give me the answer. You can see it's actually calling from let's talk about and then it is calling the variable Upal. Okay, similar way, now all of the stored variable, if you will print, it will actually give me the use of. But here you can see I have not used a function, so it has actually printed the variable my name as is. So makes sense about this f strings function, which is a new function and very useful function also. So let me share this piece of code with you. And just if you want to write f string, how to write f strings. Within that curly braces, you can write in this. And now coming into where we were today about various data structures. So I think this is, oh, this is almost time today. I'll take out the data structure and continue this in the next class. But still now on this class, I just want quick small feedback from them. So however the speed today, was it proper or you want it to be make it much more faster than this? Class, a quick feedback. You want to go me much more faster than this or probably slower than this? It's all right. Okay. Any others? Gulzar, I have got a feedback. And you want it to be more on, I can increase. Okay. Karandeep has actually given me the feedback also before. And you want to play this type of games to understand much more, or you want to go into much more theoretical examples? What is your preference? Because I can accommodate to your choice. I personally like doing this type of small games to understand concepts. It helps. But what is your choice? Games are good over theory. Okay. So with this, I want need needs practice coding. Okay. 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 So means definitely means in the games also you are actually doing a lot of coding. So if that was your feedback. Okay. So on that context, so somebody in the class will quickly summarize, or some of you will quickly summarize what are the things we have learned today. Quickly in the chat, what are the things we have learned today? At least some of you are writing one thing, so I can see that the class has gone with some takeaways. Will you quickly enlist some of the things we have learned today? Class, what are the components we have learned today? What are the topics we have learned today? Okay, package installation, version info, data, some of the data structure will continue. We will learn some more about data structure, variable assignment, string operation. People, thank you. Push packages, type of variable, then data types. Data types we are going to learn much more. Something more? We have also learned about data type strings and some of the string operations, correct? Print function, string manipulation, version info, package import. Okay, good, Pragesha. All of you are giving good answers. So I can see that in the class when we are closing, and this is an activity we will do every day. At the end of the indexing, yes, Rahul, very important thing, indexing, that concept that one to be considered as zero and starting the indexing from zero. So at the end of the day, we should actually go out from the class with some concepts in our mind. Otherwise, it's basically just getting the data in and getting the data out. And there is an effect name to that. I will talk about it later on, not today. Good. So thank you and see you all in the next class. So wish all of you a very happy weekend. Hope today's class you have enjoyed. If you have enjoyed, just you can ping a quick yes. If you have not, then you are feel free to give a no also as a feedback, and then according to it I will try to improve my delivery. So you have enjoyed today's class? Okay, only one yes. Okay, three, 4 years. Okay, so I think that gives me mixed. Okay, okay, let me try to make it much more interesting going forward. Okay, thank you. Wish all of you a great weekend, and I'm signing off.